I got scammed, guys, and it may be partially my fault. I'm going to tell you about that here on the other side. So, without any further ado, let's go. I was scammed, and it's, you know what, no surprise to me. Sell things on eBay, you're going to find these kind of scammers. But is it all the scammer, or is partly am I to blame? And I guess there's going to be a lot of people who will point the finger at me partially. I'm already hard on myself, but you guys are welcome to be hard on me in the comments down below. And we'll get to that here in a second. So, in this particular situation, this is what I was selling. It is a Panamax M5400 11 outlet home theater power conditioner voltage regulator. Ultimately, you plug all your power cords into there and it regulates all the voltage and this, that, and the thing. I don't know all it does, really. I don't know. I don't care. All I know is this: I get it, I plug it in. If it doesn't work, then I sell it for parts or repair. And that's what happened here. Very nice looking unit. You can see here, very nice looking unit. No real problems at all that I see. Looks really clean. This is where you plug in all your, all the different things from your home theater system, I guess. And it's just a really nice unit. And it just looked like an open box unit. The problem is when I plugged this thing in, it didn't work. Didn't power on, nothing. And looking at the comps, their comps showed that the item worked. This one doesn't have the blue lights on it. So not knowing a whole lot, I didn't want to open this up and get diving into the components because I don't know a whole lot about what I'm looking at. And if there is something that's not connected, I don't have soldering irons and things like that to or the expertise like maybe a Mike Camparelli might have, being a former electrician, to really get in here and to figure this out to make it work. And really, that's a lot of time. And I would rather, this is a $300 unit. Look, I have it priced for $80.99. Now I took an offer for, I believe, somewhere around 45, 49, 50 bucks, something like that. But for me, it's like, look, if it doesn't work, maybe someone can get it, fix it so that they can use it and enjoy it and save themselves a couple hundred bucks. And that's what I thought I was doing here when I sold this unit. But boy, did I find out otherwise. Now, I ended up receiving a message from this guy after he received it. Like a few days after we mailed it, they received it. And he said, "Hey, we received this box. And when I opened it up, there's something big inside that's moving around." So, okay, well, that wasn't the condition that I shipped it in. And for me, I know enough to know that if there's something large inside that's moving around, there had to have been some damage here. But he reported no box damage. So I told him, I said, look, because partially out of curiosity, normally this thing's broken. I don't want it back. I'll just give him his money back, right? But something didn't smell right here. And I think that's what he was wanting to do, is wanting me to just to give him his money back. So I said, look, doesn't make sense if there's no box damage, but open a return and I'll take a look at it when it comes back. So that's what they did. Open a return under arrived damaged, which is just as good as an INAD as far as eBay is concerned. And I get it, and I open it up. The unit has this. It felt like a huge rock was inside this thing. That never was the case when I got it. Trust me, would never have sold this thing at all, or I would have sold it, opened it up to disclose what the problem was and taking photos. That was my second mistake, but I'll get to that here in a minute. So I opened it up. There's 6 screws. The top pops off this thing. Okay, the top pops off of this particular unit right here. See the screws right there and right there. Wasn't difficult to do. Took me no more than 5 minutes. Popped it off, and to my surprise, there was a huge, I would like to say, a capacitor that was rolling around inside this thing. And upon inspection, you can see these photos here. Upon inspection, It looked like someone had cut the cable tie that holds this thing in place, because it's such a large unit that it only has a couple connectors on the motherboard, so it needs this cable tie, just like this other one over here, for example, needs the cable tie to keep it in place. But this one was cut. It wasn't even enough to reach around the capacitor if it was in place. So this obviously was cut, and there's no cut piece of that cable tie inside the box. Also, there were 8 plugs, blue plugs, that were supposed to be plugged in that weren't. Now, you're telling me that this capacitor cut its cable to cable tie due to some box damage en route, and 8 plugs came undone on the motherboard. Now, the motherboard was not tight on, the screws were on, but they weren't tight, and the 8 plugs were not plugged in. So it just tells me he just did a real fast swap out of the board that was on the unit that I shipped him, and he put his old board with the broken capacitor in its place, did a real quick screw job, didn't even bother plugging in the 8 plugs, and then claimed, hey, it must have been damaged en route because, it's not supposed to be this way. And because it's damaged, even though you have it for parts or repair, we're going to ship it back to you. Well, you know what? I've been around too long to know that, yeah, this is definitely a swap out situation. This is where they took parts from my unit, which is why they bought it, right? Parts or repair, but they decided to swap out their old. This is just a swap. It doesn't matter if it was parts or repair or not. This is the same as you selling a PlayStation, and they send you back their old, broken, worn out, dirty PlayStation 1 or a brick, right? Same scenario. So, of course, I used the refund tool. I retained the original shipping, and I gave them half their money back. They got $22 and change back. What else more can I do? It's one of those things. That's all eBay gives us the ability to do. When we get scammed like that, it's the only recourse you have. And looking at it, I probably could have done 2 things differently here. Number one, I don't have a no returns policy. I haven't had one. I haven't had a need for one. But over the summer, I started selling parts or repair for some of these things that aren't working, and I just didn't think to have one. It's a rookie mistake, but lesson learned. Number 2 is I should have taken photos of the inside of the unit as part of the listing, right? Take time, the item doesn't work, open it up, take photos of the components on the inside if you can get to it within ease. I didn't even check to see how easy or hard it was. But from now on, I'm going to start doing that, because there are people out there that just want these for the components, and they don't want to pay you money. They want a full refund and steal your items as well. Then that's what they will do. So what do you guys think? Comment down below. I want to know your thoughts on this. What would you have done differently? Now, the reason why I feel like I am partially responsible for this is because I have not even thought about setting up a no return policy. No returns meaning that the idea is to ward off potential buyers from wanting to return your item. And generally, the thought is, if you have a no return policy, it doesn't really say much about your item, and you're really not standing behind your item, to the buyer. But when you're dealing with a parts or repair item, you're really not standing behind your item anyway, right? You're telling people it's broken, it doesn't work. You're buying this because you can either fix it or you can use it for parts for your current whatever. And so that was my major mistake. Now, this particular person, they are a buyer, they are a seller on eBay, and they've sold many items. They even have about a dozen items currently up for sale on their account. And to me, it's shame on them for trying to pull this one. But even if I would have had a no returns policy, he would have opened up a damaged claim anyway, which would have forced me to take a return. It's an INAD, same thing. I'm stuck. So I would have been stuck doing the same thing that I did today, which is retain the original shipping, and he gets half a refund of whatever he paid, like half of 45 bucks or something like that. It's really hard for me to understand how someone can open up a return, a non-working, non-functional item damage return when it's already broken. I've had this happen to me before, but unfortunately, eBay doesn't back the seller. There is absolutely no common sense, and eBay should disallow anyone to return an item that is parts of repair, and especially if you have no return set like you should. And I'm hard on myself about that. I've actually gone in and changed all my parts of repair listings. There's not a whole lot, but the few that I have up there do now have a no returns policy. And I'm kind of beating myself up about it because it's a rookie mistake. I should have known better, but I just wasn't really thinking about it because I haven't had, prior to this summer, really haven't had too many opportunities where I was listing parts of repair. Because the place that I go currently, I have 7 days to take it back and get a refund if there's something wrong with it. So with pallets, though, you kind of are stuck with whatever you get, and a lot of times you get stuff that have no functionality. They just don't power on. They look good, and in this case, this thing looked really, really good, and I was very disappointed when it didn't power on. But it certainly didn't have damage or anything like moving inside this box because I would have opened it up to figure out what it was. It was very easy to open, talking 6 screws, and I had no reason to do so. There was no noise coming out of the unit. So for me, lesson learned. Whenever you sell parts or repair, you need to couple it with a no returns policy. Now, will that ensure that I don't get returns? No, there's still no backing by eBay to back up your return policy and the type of item you're selling. Even if you state as is with no returns, eBay doesn't look at that. They don't care. And if a buyer opens an INAD, you're just on the hook to have to accept it no matter what return policy you have. But for some unsuspecting buyers out there who may just think, oh, I saw no returns, and oh, I saw where he put as is and no returns, that maybe, just maybe, they don't know any better and they will just say, okay, well, my loss. And I think there's more honest people out there than there are people like this who know how to play the system. And all you really can do is block this particular buyer slash seller and don't do business with them. Now, I can leave that information in the description if you guys want to. If there's enough of you guys who want me to do that, then I'll add it to the video description. But I really don't want to put people on blast because what generally happens is you got a couple Karens out there who watch these videos. You know who you are. I'm surprised you made it this far, by the way. And they will go and send them a message on eBay and just cause all kinds of problems, right? So I'm not trying to do that, even though your user ID on eBay is public information. There is no private information attached to it, like your address, your phone number, and all that, your name. I just, rather than having a block party like I used to have back in the day, you guys remember that? I just rather keep it under the vest. Unless you guys want me to talk about it like on the live on Friday, and I could do that as well. Maybe give you the identity at that time. Maybe I'll do it that way. You guys show up to the live stream on Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Then I'll spill the beans if you guys want and tell you who it was. So you can block that person as well. But dealing with scammers, this was a scammer, you know. The person knew what they were doing. It's few and far between, but yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. Well, you guys have an excellent rest of your day, and we will talk to you very soon. Take care.